Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for our webinar on how WinMan ERP solutions can help your clients. We're going to start off just with some introductions for who we have here today. So my name is Heather Rogers. I'm the head of sales at WinMan, and I'm joined by Jonathan Davis, who is our sales director, and also Nick Davis, who is our technical director. So what we've put together today, we're going to start off with Jonathan Davis, who's going to introduce us, the company, in the section Who Are WinMan, before Nick is going to take over, and we're going to introduce to you the technology behind our newest released product, which is WinMan Cloud. And we're then going to go ahead and give you an overview of that platform, and I'll be taking you through quite a simple demonstration in a quote to cash style format of the WinMan Cloud solution. And that will then be followed by some Q&As. So with the Q&As, hopefully you should have access to the question and answer section through the webinar. Please feel free to enter any questions into that section as we go through or at the end, and we will do our best to address as many of those as we can at the end of the session. Okay. So passing over now then to Jonathan, if you want to pick up and introduce ourselves, Who Are WinMan?
WinMan, from our first slide here, you can see we're based across 3 locations. We're a UK company. Our head office is in Birmingham. We have our development office in Brighton, and then a sort of an owned subsidiary in the US, so sort of Chicago and then Rockford in Illinois. We've been going 27 years, and like I said, we actively market in the UK and the States, but we have sites spreading from China, Europe, the Middle East, which are subsidiaries of some of the bigger UK and US clients. The business is really built around our 5 main objectives, and that's to company objectives, and that's to improve customer satisfaction year on year, to retain customers, not to lose customers through dissatisfaction with our product, WinMan, or our services, and then efficiency. We very much work with a lot of lean organizations, and we think we absorb some of that methodology, and we want to be as efficient as possible with our sales, implementation, support, and development operations. And with kind of the sites, as WinMan, we've probably installed WinMan in and around 500 times. We've got sort of 300 plus active sites using WinMan. We want as many of those to be referenceable as possible. The final objective is the growth of the business, but that growth shouldn't interfere with any of the previous 4 objectives, which is really that whole customer experience. We are independently owned and managed. As you can see there, we carry no debt, and we are both the authors and distributors of the software. So in terms of some of the slides there, some of the icons there, continuous development. We have developed WinMan from the ground up, and WinMan Cloud is the 4th time we've done this. And so the initial was pre-SQL with an X-base development. We then got our SQL and the client-server .NET technology, which has been very, very, very good for us. We still have an active product. It's the first time really we've run with 2 versions of the software, both being actively developed. But now with WinMan Cloud, which is probably, and not unsurprisingly, the most technical, complex environment. It's taken in excess of 50 man-years worth of development, and Nick will tell you a little bit more about the technology stack, but I think just from that you can see that we heavily invest in the technology in and around WinMan, and that sort of links in with the point I mentioned earlier, that we don't want our customers to leave us through either for dissatisfaction, particularly with in this case product, and we develop the software to be relevant. And cloud, obviously, we see as a growing market for people to want to have their ERP in the cloud. Okay, so a little bit about sort of sectors and size. We have, like I say, over 350 active sites. There's a small sort of sample of some of our users there. They range typically from sort of 5 to 300 plus users. We don't believe anybody's actually hit the buffers with WinMan. In terms of what we can cater for, one of our customers, in fact, JTF, Mega Discount Warehouse there, they have over 1.6 million sales order line transactions a month, which equates to 55,000 sales order lines per working day, each of which has to be sort of picked, packed, invoiced, etc. So it's a lot of transactions. If we take some of our furniture customers, one of our customers produces 25,000 units per month, individually configured units, which is basically 1,000 new products, unique bills of materials, manufacturing orders per day, so it gives you some of the some of the scalability of the WinMan system. In terms of industry, we have have a very broad customer base. In fact, if you were to sort of name them, we'd be here for a while. But some of the major market verticals we work in are sort of automotive, furniture we've mentioned with our product configurator, although we have a lot of engineering companies utilizing our configurator. Electronics, both contract manufacturers and product-based manufacturers, and we have a specific industry vertical in the pharma, cosmetic and food industry that very much supports GMP, or good manufacturing practice, which is a philosophy that's adhered to within those industries. Our sort of system, particularly around the data capture element, is replacing what was that's a sort of a wet ink signature with linking to weigh machines and to digital signature, PIN number type input to replace that wet signature. In terms of AI, artificial intelligence, we've always worked very closely with supporting technologies. So passing through material requirements to nesting software, we've been doing that for sort of many decades now. Integration with traditional EDI, your TraderNet and Edifact-based standards, which are still used and by many of the big OEMs, and therefore the tier 1 and tier 2, tier 3 suppliers have to adhere to those technologies with a lot more modern integrations of late. So we've got some companies that have sort of stacker trucks, forklift trucks that are automatically routed from location to pick up and put away. We've got intelligent warehouse based transactions, and controlling different pick strategies, again with integration with machinery that your big stack sort of rotary Cardex machines to automatically send the instructions to pull the product down for the picker. One of our customers has their product in vending machines, so they're kind of they supply ancillaries, and as their customers pull those products, it will trigger both the invoicing and the replenishment of those vending machines. And with our business intelligence as well, we're also enabling that AI, if you like, with intelligent routing of vehicles, that kind of thing. So yeah, a broad range of both industry and technical sort of or functional verticals. It's so like I said, the functionality it is what you'd expect. In fact, it's probably easy to say what we don't do. We don't do payroll. We do a lot more. So we call it work management. So that includes holiday booking, because that affects the kind of the resources that are around the company. And we're moving more into the HR side, but we don't do the onboarding and the disciplinary, but we're all the way from sort of CRM, product configuration, sales order processing, inventory management, MRP, production scheduling, and then on the warehousing side with put away and pick based functionality, a lot of shop floor data capture, manufacturing shop floor data capture, integration with websites. So a lot of our customers are B2C and B2B, or a combination of both. A lot of the customers that manufacture are also distributors, but we do have some purely distribution businesses as well. So so it gives you a little bit of a with the topics here, the kind of areas that we cover. Okay, the other thing that's key with it, and speaking to consultants, as you'll know, the implementation process is often something that's not really communicated that well with it, particularly with projects that go wrong. And we have our own implementation methodology. It's geared towards being both efficient, but also to really trying to improve that the success of the implementation, because an implementation that, as many of you will know, that goes off the rails is very difficult to get that confidence back and to really get the overall use of the ERP system moving forwards. And so we very much will openly say what a big project it is, even if it can be a jaw-dropping sort of moment when we tell people, just your project manager from your side will need to take roughly half his time. Key members from the various operational areas will need to over a 6 to 9 month period, it will be kind of 1.5 to 2 days per week throughout that process. We don't shy away from just how big a project it is and how much ownership is required from the company that we're implementing in, and kind of that process of giving a high degree of focus to the project and an upfront sort of overview as to what's involved, and then monitoring and managing that project through some key stages there. So the first thing is the scoping, the initial go live, which will replace the incumbent system. We won't look to deliver everything phase one where possible, because we know there's an awful lot of change, and if we can get that core system installed and then move forward with a number of incremental improvements after that, they tend to be a lot easier to implement, a lot more don't take a lot of effort, certainly not in terms of taking effort from the company to a degree, but not a lot of chargeable effort from ourselves. And we can then, like I say, using that well-established core, move forward and work with our partner companies in continual improvement using the WinMan technologies. So most of it is standard, although we think we're have some of the best sort of extendable technologies, which are very closely aligned with our upgrade process. It's an automatic upgrade process, and the workflows and integration technologies that we use when we say linking with websites, etc., through APIs, but through to linkage to machinery and the like, has been developed over the years, and every one of our customers is on the upgrade path for automatic upgrades, and that's how we're able to focus our resources into the onward development of the product, and not have a lot of disparate companies on disparate versions of the software. You'll see there's some key phases there. So to us, the process audit is more important than the go live, because we often will not allow our customers to progress from there unless we feel that the processes have been defined, tested and documented, and will successfully replace the incumbent system, because otherwise we will be, if there's stuff that's not yet decided and we start to walk forwards towards a go live without that audit, then it's not going to be a successful implementation. Okay, so it's very important that as well as an introduction to WinMan, that our implementation process is as important as our software. So really, the slides that you can see here is really a summary. It's generic to ERP, but we really do believe in the single integrated system and the benefits that can bring to a business. Working, like I say, incremental improvements to improve efficiency and productivity, profitability, one version of the truth, providing real-time business data, and then that key bit that I mentioned, that configurability to be able to support our customers' optimum business processes. Okay, so that's my bit. I'll let Nick take over. Hopefully, a little easier than I did.
Yeah, let me give it a go. Right, so hopefully you can all see that, and let's go on to the first slide then. So why WinMan Cloud? So even before COVID, we were seeing customers wanting to get access to their system from outside of, an on-premise solution. We aided that through the use of portals and our WinMan Go framework, which helped that a lot. But when COVID struck, people have had to work where they can. We're currently working from home, and that hybrid is likely to continue. While we have much of our user base will be working on shop floors and in warehouses, but many of the back office staff are more flexible. They can work where they want, and that may well continue. So cloud offers that flexibility, and so it's a definite platform, a move forward for us, so that we can be more flexible for our client base. And it also reduces the need for upgrading hardware. It's pretty much runs on any browser you want. So again, a user-friendly, responsive interface. Many people now want to access on phones, tablets, ultra-portable laptops with small screens. So instead of being restricted to desktops and specific operating systems, cloud offers that kind of ubiquity of access. The other thing it gives for us, or gives for our customers, is you pay for what you need. So we have a kind of role-based licensing model. That means that we can reduce costs. So there's no upfront costs like there is with an on-premise solution. So where you're going to need large infrastructure purchases just to get going. And it's a model that means that we can, that they can grow at their own pace rather than having to predict where you're going to be in 5 years' time. They can just pay for what they need and grow alongside it. So the technology. So this is, as Jonathan said earlier, it's a complete re-architecture of our existing solution, a very mature solution. It's taken over 50 man-years to get there. There's over 2 million lines of source code involved in it so far. But it's the same advanced tool set that we have in our on-premise solution. It's the same powerful workflows and customizations that we offer. So it's very much moving forward. It's scalable and agile. So what that really means is we can automatically scale to your needs. So if you're 20 user 1 year and 50 the next, that's not a problem to us. We'll take care of that growth for you. There's no need to worry about where your infrastructure needs to be in order to hit that target. Security is obviously a big thing, especially in cloud. So we have automatic backups. We have geo-redundant data and failovers and things. So we host in Microsoft's Azure cloud, tier 1 provider, and that means that our customers are benefiting from kind of state-of-the-art technology, so that they're able to kind of focus on growing their business while we can make sure that we're keeping their data secure and make sure it's available to them. So some of the benefits. Now, so integration is kind of a big deal when you're looking nowadays, but especially with cloud solutions. So what that means, we have an extensive API. We've got powerful workflows. We've got connectors for integration services like Zapier and Microsoft Automate. And that means we can automate some of the exchange of data between other SaaS products, software as a service products. So, if we want to, let's say, automate a supplier sending us a new price list, we can automate the absorption of that into WinMan. Or, if you want to send a tweet every time you add a new product to your range, then that's something we can do with these codes with either low or no code solutions. And that can be really powerful. So we've also got a multi-company global solution. So many organizations now have a global reach, and many others have complex company structures, you know, a holding company over another company, that kind of thing. So WinMan Cloud allows us to host multiple companies within one cloud instance, and that greatly simplifies the kind of sharing of data. We can do intercompany transactions and global reporting very easily, whilst keeping it all under the same kind of umbrella and accessibility. And then customizations is one of the things that we feel we excel at, is our ability to kind of provide a solution that really works for our customers. So we understand not every customer is the same, and therefore what we've done is we built an effective customization framework, which means we can kind of automate tasks, we can configure the product around our customers without compromising, though, the ability for them to accept upgrades and, you know, harness the new features that we make available. Okay, so I think it's over to Heather now.
Thanks, Nick, for that. So following on from Jonathan and Nick's introduction to the business and to the cloud product, what I'm going to do now is give you just a basic overview of the cloud product. I imagine, you know, because we've contacted you today to join us on the webinar, I imagine many of you have probably seen the mature product that we already have. And as Nick said, you know, this has been a complete redevelopment of it, but still has a lot of the same principles and features around the product. So it's by no means meant to be a complete extensive demonstration of the system. It's more just designed to give you a feel for the product and a flavor for it, to give you kind of an idea of what it's about. So I'm going to start off with just some basic features. Obviously, as Nick said, you know, it's browser based. I'm logged on today via Google Chrome, but obviously that could be any web browser on any device, phones, tablets, etc. We've got some key information summarized on my home page here. For example, linking into some of the CRM elements around you know, tasks that the individual user might have to begin working on, linking into some of the HR functionality in terms of maybe who in my department is off work, or who you know, is on annual leave or on holiday, for example, and then also some what's new features that are spinning around at the bottom. Now, this is customizable, as Nick was saying just a moment ago. If this is not relevant for our particular customer and they want some different information on this home screen, such as, you know, feeding in from some of these external sources, you know, tweets, for example, or some graphs looking at sales figures, whatever that might be, that's absolutely fine. We can flex a lot of these screens to show the relevant information at the required time. So we're going to now look at some navigation and some data that we've got set up using a dummy product that I've loaded in. So over on the left hand side here, we'll see we've got our pin section. So the pinned is a bit like our favorites. So I can just click on the products there, and it will take me over to my my product screen, which we'll look at in a bit more detail in just a moment. But we can also use this search modules at the top. And if I just click in there very briefly, like I said, this is by no means meant to be an you know, an end-to-end demonstration of the entire product. But what this screen that you're seeing on the webinar at the moment will hopefully show you is a bit of the breadth of the WinMan system in terms of the functionality that exists. And this is ever expanding. We're bringing out new releases every month with new functionality, and that will continue to be expanded upon and rolled out to our customer base. So in the same way that I did my pinned, I can just search for the module that I'm looking for and open that up to start to interact with that. So on my product screen, there's a few things that's worth mentioning at this point. We've obviously got here a list of products which we've loaded into the system already. We can use these advanced filter features which are present throughout the system, but they work quite well on products to start to manipulate the data and restrict what we're looking at. So if, for example, you only wanted to see manufacturer parts, it's very easy to add in a filter and then restrict down that view. And the filters are very user friendly. There's no coding involved to set these up. It's aimed at the end user, so they can start to build up their own filters as required, save them. You know, looking at products here, but other uses might be show me all the invoices for a particular customer in a date range, or it might be show me a list of customers in this postal region, for example. Lots and lots of uses of these filters throughout the system. So we might use our filters to identify the product that we want to view or modify, but we can obviously use the search feature up at the top here. So I'll go ahead and use that and search for my dummy product, which is very simplistically HR prod. And as you can imagine, there's lots and lots of fields, parameters, which we can then store data relating to this particular product, which will be used in the downstream processing. So I'm not going to spend too much time going through all of these sections. There are a few bits which I will just touch on, which are relevant. So, you know, we can manage very complex pricing logic here. You'll see we've got standard pricing, customer pricing, discount, you know, price breaks, discounts as well. So we're very comfortable with managing that, various settings held against the particular products, and moving on to some of the additional sections, things like document management that you would expect against any record. As I said, I'm focusing on products just now, but this functionality is across the board, the ability to very easily drag in files, whether it be images, PDFs, Excels, etc., and store them against the relevant record in the database. So I'm going to use this product to take you through, as I said, the quote to cash. It's a manufactured part, so we have a structure set up against this. Again, very simplistically, we're made up of 3 components and an assembly process, capturing all of the associated costs that might be expected as we process this item through the system. The way that I have the data set up today is that we have the first 2 components in stock, but we're going to need to actually go back and buy some of component 3 to allow us to process that through the system. So moving on, we'll touch briefly on some of the CRM functionality within the WinMan Cloud system. So I'm going to go over to the account hub and go to my dummy customer, who is AB Limited. So we can see I've sorted that on the name and just select my account that I wish to view or interact with. So coming into the account, we see some examples of the type of information we would log and store against here on this communication panel, where we would have kind of the communication train, as you can see here, you know, inbound and outbound communication logged against the account and the contact within that account. Linking into some nice visual features, linking in with map functionality, for example, storing all you know, name, address, phone number of the company, and also any associated contacts there. And then obviously summarizing sales transactions and also any orders or cases, projects and opportunities as well. So I'm going to select one of the opportunities that I've already logged in the system. And again, you can see here we've got our communication panel at the bottom to log communication specific to this opportunity within the system, summarized at the top with the key information, obviously for reporting purposes, you know, when an opportunity is due, the projected value, probability, all of those key features that you would expect within the CRM module, the CRM modules of an ERP system. So quite a nice addition to WinMan Cloud that we've introduced is we have our sales process stages along the top here. So this is another example of something which is flexible and customizable. The users of the system can determine, you know, these sales process stages and also the sub stages within there. So it makes for good use of being able to monitor and track the opportunities throughout the business as they build up more data in the system. So I'm going to go ahead now and add on a sales order connected to my opportunity, entering some very basic information here, update my department and set a due date to the end of next month, middle of next month. So with some basic information, that will then take me over to my sales order module, which has created the header, and then it's just a very quick and easy process to identify the product or products that I would like to add to this order. Going for HR prod, which is the product we looked at a little moment ago. All of the data that we entered previously has obviously been pulled through. We're seeing in this window on the right hand side a snapshot into what our stock status is, the fact that we have 3 in stock, for example, and currently no more due. We also have our price break information and any alternate parts that might be related to this product as well. So we're going to keep it nice and simple for today. I'm just going to enter a quantity of 10. That's hit the price break, so the price for that has changed as we would expect. And I'll just save that item and firm up my order so we can continue the processing. And as I'm sure you would expect, we have standard prints, which are again completely flexible and customizable. A very basic example here of an order acknowledgement that would be generated and emailed out of WinMan. But obviously things like taking on our customers' logos, colours, fonts, styling, etc. That's all done as part of our standard implementation process. So now that we have some demand in the system, I'm going to run our MRP process. So we have the powerful MRP engine that will drive our manufacturing and purchasing processes, which I'm just going to go ahead and run now. It'll just take about a minute or so, if that, to run through before we can go and have a look at the outputs from there and continue the process. I've deliberately kept it simple. As I said, for today, it's very easy to follow through what we're doing and where the data is coming from, just to give you a flavour for hopefully how user-friendly the system is and how easy it is to navigate. So now that MRP has completed, there should be 2 outputs effectively from that. We should have on our manufacturing side a manufacturing order proposal to satisfy the demand. Based on my data setup and some reorder points, I've got 2 proposals today. One with the purpose to get me back to my safety stock level of 50, and an additional one a little bit down the line, to then maintain that safety stock when we sell that product and ship it on the 14th of May, I think it was. So it's just a tick box exercise to accept that proposal, which will then create for us our manufacturing order, pulling through all of the data and all of the information that was set up at the product and the product structure that we looked at a few moments ago. So we have our manufacturing order record, and we can see our work in progress requirements down here with our requirement for the various components and the various processes. We'll come back and look at this in a moment, but first I did mention there were 2 expected outputs from MRP, the first here on the manufacturing side and the second on the purchasing side. So we have our purchase order proposals module, similar to the manufacturing side, where we will see if there is a supplier reference, the recommendation to buy the various products from the right supplier at the right time. If there is no supplier reference, it will be also listed as unknown. It's not for relevance today, but obviously you can still see that there is a requirement for some additional products that we haven't configured the supplier relationship with. So again, in the same way as we processed it on the manufacturing side, it's just a tick box exercise to then generate that proposal into a firm purchased proposal, which we can come over. Obviously, we look to automate as much as possible, being an integrated system. We wouldn't expect any form of rekeying. Everything is automatically generated where at all possible. So here we have our purchase order for 110 of component 3 to satisfy the demand in terms of minimum stock levels and also demand that will be used in the downstream manufacturing processes. So that can obviously be firmed up now, and in the same way that we had our sales acknowledgement, we would be able to email our purchase order off to our supplier directly from the WinMan system. So moving forward to the next logical step in the process, we will come over to our goods receiving module and process a new receipt. Again, keeping the data entry to a minimum. We know the supplier was best supplier, and it should then just be a case of, again, tick box exercise to say, yep, that's the item that I would like to receive based on any outstanding purchase orders that I might have within the system. And again, very quick and easy to finalize that record and book our component 3 into stock, which we can now move over and use in the manufacturing order that we looked at just a moment ago. So back to our manufacturing order module. Again, we could use our filters to search on any orders that have a release date of the next week, for example. My order is obviously here at the top as it's the latest one that was created within the system. So I can choose to manually issue. The system is comfortable with managing the obvious first in, first out allocations of stock, and that can be done automatically. But in this example, if I wanted to make sure that I was not dipping into 2 batches, for example, I might just want to use the batch that I have receipted in. I can do that with a manual override, and then I will allow the system to process the rest of that. We have a part issue status at the moment, but I can then do the final issue, which the system, as I said, will work by default on a first in, first out logic. We can then see underneath here the material issues. So we have the full traceability that you would expect of materials within the system, to understand where the item has come from, how it is being consumed, whether it's one manufacturing order, multiple manufacturing orders, and ultimately any finished product that that item has been involved in, and we capture that full traceability within the WinMan system. So it's not something that I am planning to show today, but it's probably just worth mentioning at this time, linking back to some of the technology and some of the benefits that Jonathan and Nick were mentioning earlier. We do have, to support the main cloud solution, which is obviously this web-based platform that we're looking at the moment, we do have the WinMan Go app that some of you may be familiar with if you've seen demonstrations previously of the on-premise solution. So the idea behind the WinMan Go app is, again, just to extend out the accessibility of the system. As we said, you can run the WinMan Cloud solution on a mobile phone, so there's nothing to stop somebody having this open on their Safari browser on their iPhone, for example. But that we recognise that there are situations where we don't want to give full system access to an individual. It might just be a very simple a stock move, for example, or an MO completion where you don't want them to have full access to the main user interface. So we have the WinMan Go technology, which allows us to give very specific and very restricted access to various elements of the system, still in real time, but for things like barcode scanning, inventory management, booking time, those types of interactions which are better suited perhaps to a shared tablet or a barcode scanner on the shop floor, then that's something which is available to sit alongside the core WinMan solution as well. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this particular manufacturing order. Again, for the sake of simplicity today, we're not going to get into scrappages and write-off and part completions. We'll just keep it nice and simple, and we'll complete the full quantity of 50 directly into stock. Which now that we have 50 in stock, we've got enough that we can go ahead and raise a shipment for our sales order. As we've mentioned in terms of flexibility, a lot of these functions, such as creating shipments, for example, we could look to do in an automated process. I'm obviously doing everything here manually to walk you through that process, but it wouldn't be uncommon for us to overnight create some unfinalized shipment based on some rules so that they were ready to be picked in the morning, for example. So I'm going to go for a new shipment for our customer, which was AB Limited. Everything else I can leave as default, and then we will be able to select from a list of outstanding sales orders. You can see here there's lots of items which were on order, but it's this bottom one here, HR prod, that we want to identify and go ahead to ship. So we'll add that item to the shipment, and as I said, activities such as picking, packing, they're very well suited to the WinMan Go environment as well. But we can also support a full paper-based system where we generate, you know, printed out picking lists and delivery notes and things like that as well. So we've identified the shipment, we've added the products. Just a simple case now of finalizing this shipment, and we can at this point automatically raise and finalize the invoice as well. So those items have been dispatched, an invoice has been sent to our customer AB Limited. So the final thing to show you, just to complete the loop if you like, is to touch briefly on kind of the credit control side of things. WinMan is a fully integrated accounting package as well, so there's no need for any integrations with third-party accounting software. That's all managed within the WinMan system. So to give you a brief look and introduction to that, I'm going to come over and look at my Finance Hub, which summarizes everything from a finance perspective in the system. And I can see here I've got a balance, an overdue balance on my account for AB Limited. So I can select them from here, or I can search using the standard search functionality. And upon coming in to our Finance Hub for AB Limited, we can have a breakdown. As you can see here, we can see that there's a balance due on the account, but that's stretching back. They don't look like particularly good payers in this example here. So we've got all of the information, all of the history in terms of invoices and cash payments for this particular customer visualized on the screen. And again, a lot of these visualizations can be tailored to suit the customer. So we can display this, you know, in a different format. We can add dashboards into the system to summarize key information. But as you can see, we've got the transactional history as well as any outstanding invoices here. And as I said, just to complete the very basic loop through the system, I can receive some money via the quick deposit function. I'm going to leave a few outstanding on there, and I'm just going to go for the invoice which was raised today and assume that will be paid in full, which will then obviously be added to the system and reflected. Let me click the button there. Yep, it did. It came through there. So that will be added to the system and reflected there in the credit control balance, now reduced down to 600. Okay, so hopefully that's given you a bit of a flavour for the feel for the system, the navigation, obviously the interface. We feel that it's, well, we hope it's quite a modern looking system, a very, very clean looking system. We've had some really good positive feedback from the demonstrations we've done till now and some of the customers that we've got so far. So yeah, it's now time if I just flick back over quickly. So first question then, if John wouldn't mind picking this one up, is in relation to whether we're seeing any movements around leads we're getting in for cloud versus leads we're getting in that are preferring the on-premise solution.
So yeah, so we are seeing more of the leads that we get being or specifying cloud. So a lot of people are, particularly with COVID, are seeing the cloud offering those benefits that Mick talked about, so that you can work remotely. You don't need to. You've got the security against cyber attack and backups, etc. Is taken out of the hands of the end user company and onto the provider. So yeah, we're seeing a lot more interest in that cloud-based delivery of ERP.
Thank you, John. So another question then from one of the attendees, and Nick, perhaps you could pick this one up, please. Does WinMan Cloud have all the functionality of WinMan ERP? So I guess that's comparing it to the more mature product.
It doesn't at the moment. We've got a roadmap to include everything that we've done in WinMan ERP. There are some things in cloud that we haven't yet put into our WinMan ERP package. So they're very much both being developed, both being pushed forward. And there are some of the more niche modules, I should say, that are used by a small percentage of our customers. We've tried to get the product out as soon as we can, and we've made sure it's got a very, very comprehensive set of functionality, but it's by no means complete, and it will probably never be complete because we're always developing, we're always moving stuff forward. But we've got an aggressive roadmap to achieve that, where we've just increased our development team even more, and we're pushing forward with that, and we're hoping probably for some kind of convergence. We're hoping kind of sometime towards the end of this year, I would imagine.
Thanks, Nick. Another one, maybe back to you, John. Have you or will you include suppliers, agents, logistics, delivery companies, etc., into the overall flow from cradle to grave? Can you pick that up, John?
Yeah. So in terms of sales agents, we have functionality to peg accounts to sales agents. There are different methods of handling the process. Sometimes with a sales agent, you'll sell to the agent, and the customer will be effectively a delivery branch of that agent. Sometimes the sale wants to be recorded as a direct transaction to the end customer, but we need to pay the sales agent the appropriate commission. So we have functionality from the sales side. We link closely with a lot of freight companies, so that we are able to collect that tracking number without any sort of extra keying or input within WinMan. So a lot of the integrations we do means that the labels that are printed to a courier's format, and when the courier scans those parcels into their system, they've then got that linkage is automatically created between the two systems. So we can direct the inquiry straight to the courier's system with that tracking reference, and they can track their goods, as well as picking up with certain of the courier system certain key points to then inform customers that on the status of their delivery. So it's very much an enhanced sort of integration on the sales side. On the purchase side as well, so with things like a lot of products coming in through either surface or shipment sort of transports that you take ownership in China, and it goes on a boat, and where is that product? And it's a consolidated, often shipment. You'd have placed certain purchase orders, but what actually gets loaded or what you want loaded could be different to the original purchase order schedule. So we have a container management module, which again we can integrate to we can get that tracking URL and automatically adjust the expected delivery date, and then you'd have a certain number of days from docking to actually expecting on your premises. So that kind of integration we've been doing for a long time in both systems.
Thanks, John. A few more questions, hopefully. I think we've got time to take a few more. Functionality one, probably more so for Nick then. Does the system provide serial and lot traceability?
Yep, absolutely. Core part of WinMan, always has been. We're very much focused on making sure we have full traceability. We're very into our food and pharma and things like that. So serial numbering, traceability, it's what we do.
Thank you. And another one here, it's a question relating to WinMan Go, Nick. I fear my explanation of why we have WinMan Go perhaps wasn't very clear. So the question is, could you please explain further why you need WinMan Go with WinMan Cloud? For example, does WinMan Cloud not provide field level security to reduce or manage access to the system?
So the reason for WinMan Go is it's a multi-platform app. So we can run it on Windows, we can run it on Android, we can run it on iOS, and the idea is it scripts processes. So the idea is the things like shop floor data capture or the end of production lines or things like that, repetitive tasks that you may want to streamline. So it may take you through a particular process. You need to do this, you need to check this, you need to give me that quantity, and I'll complete this process for you. So while we can do some of that within the user interface, it makes it a lot slicker. The other great thing about it is we integrate deeply into these hardware ecosystems, so that we can work with the barcode scanners directly. So if you make, we tend to deploy, if we're deploying on a shop floor, we're deploying an Android specific device with a laser scanner in it to make it really easy to capture this data, reduce those errors that you can get if you're having to go back to the system. These Bluetooth devices you can take anywhere. The WinMan Go can integrate with scales, so we can measure stuff on the fly. I think John was talking earlier about some of our existing companies who use these type of processes. So it's very much designed to wrap around a business process and make it very slick and very easy to do. Part of that is obviously you can reduce what somebody can get access to, but it doesn't at all stop. I mean, you could do stock moves on a phone using WinMan Cloud, and it would be absolutely fine. The advantage you get running it on a WinMan Go is you can zap the barcode, you can zap the stock location, and it's done, and then you can move on. So it's very slick. And there's all kinds of wearable devices now that just make it so easy for the kind of shop floor workers nowadays.
And I think just to add one other comment to that, is that it's the way that everyone's moving as well, isn't it, Nick? Like on everyone's phone, I've got an Amazon app, for example, on my phone. I could equally load up Safari and go to Amazon, but I don't. I do it on an app. It is naturally slicker and easier and more streamlined, as you've said. And if you are in that more of a handheld environment, it does just work a bit better on the app, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So we can capture. We have an expenses module. You can go in on the phone and you can do an expense. We also have a little expenses module for WinMan Go if you want, and it does the same thing, but it's just, as Heather said, it's just a lot easier to kind of capture the receipt and put it straight into the system, as opposed to doing it through a web browser on the phone. So it's what you want to do with it, really.
Thanks, Nick. Another question then, I think we've kind of already answered it, but I think it's relevant and worth picking up on. Do you imagine phasing out the other products? I imagine that's the original on-premise ERP. Nick, do you want to go for that one again?
Yeah, we've no intention at the moment. We're still seeing an enormous amount of interest in it, and we're developing it at the same pace we're developing cloud. We very much see this as a dual path for us. We deal with companies who deal with stock. A lot of those have factories and warehouses, and therefore an on-premise solution may well be the solution that they want. It may work out that that's the best thing for them, but we want to offer both, and we want to make sure we offer the best solution for our customers. So there's no plans to phase it out at the moment.
Thanks, Nick. Okay, so there's quite a few more questions, but I think we've covered a lot of them off there. So if there's any questions which anyone has asked that we haven't answered, we'll look to get a written response back to you after the session today. We will also be sending an email with the recording of the session, just within the next couple of days to a week or so. So you'll have that for your reference. If anyone has any additional queries or any questions that they have after today's session, then there's myself and Jonathan's contact details on the screen now. But like I said, we will be sending around a copy of this recording once we've just kind of edited that and put it together. So thank you very much for everyone who's spent the time with us today. I hope you found the session useful. And like I said, please do get in touch if you've got any additional queries, and we'll look to answer them as quickly as we can.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Yep. Thank you all.